Just want to make sure everybody can hear me. Let me know. I don't think there should be an issue, but always nice to make sure. Zachary White, it's too early. No, it's never too early. It's never too early to talk about politics, man. Why would you say something like that? I actually wanted to cover this early because I don't want to spend too much time on it. And I really want to, in the next maybe probably right after this series, after this segment, once I take a break, I will be going over the Cynthia Nixon race, which I want people to be up and ready for. So I figured I would knock this one out early, and then we'll jump into Cynthia Nixon and go on about our business. But does anybody else want to shout out this morning before we get started? Anybody? Let me know. Speak now or forever hold your peace. I hope everybody's having a good morning. It's a beautiful day here in Miami. No hurricanes. Jose Spencer, what's going on? Yeah, but no hurricanes. Beautiful light outside. For my LA people, I'll be seeing you soon. Very soon. Once I get the final confirmation, I will let you know what the surprise is. I can't tell you yet, though. Yeah, I'm sure he did. Jamal does videos about TYT pretty often. Decent coverage, too. Decent coverage. Definitely encourage you all to go check out some of his perspectives. I don't always agree with them, only just from being on the insider track with a lot of these things. But he does offer unique perspectives, and they're pretty well articulated. And most of his analysis is good for the movement. So I definitely encourage you all to go check him out. Anybody else want to shout out before we get started? You know, it's early, so we can get in shout outs this morning because it's early. So anybody else want to shout out? I got about 2 more shout outs in me. No, okay. So I'm assuming you're forever holding your peace. Now, with that being said, thank you all so much for tuning into this morning segment of Mikase Sukase, and I am your host, Niko House. I have not been able to post a lot this week, but it's because I've been working a lot. In my job that pays my bills, I know it sucks, but unfortunately being a truth teller does not pay that well. I'm going to be honest with you, people, but it's okay because the reason why I've been working a lot more is because I have big surprises coming up in October. Something that you all have been asking for and demanding and for over a year now, and it may be happening October 12th-ish time frame. So I'm excited about that, and I will update you as soon as I get more updates about it. Secondly, I do want to cover really quickly where we're at on Roku. If you missed the last update, I did get the final email from Roku saying that we're just waiting for the final approval. Everything is submitted. Everything has been pre-approved. All the videos just have to go live now, which I got that email about 3 days ago. So we should have only like 2 more business days before we are live on Roku. I'm so freaking excited about that. Because it's just another platform where we will no longer be, kind of chained down to the YouTube, Facebook, Twitter situation. So we have Just Inform already, justinform.com, which is the social media platform started by myself, Suzanne Murphy, and Tim Black, which many of you already know, of course. And now we have live streaming there, which next week we should be having way more journalists on there, which I'm super excited about. And then, of course, we have Roku now. So it's another platform which is actually bigger than YouTube. It's actually closer to Netflix and Hulu that will be featured on. So as the channel continues to grow, as you can see, we are almost at 10,000 subscribers. What a journey. It's been 2 years since I started doing these live streams on YouTube, since I got my first show with Awake Radio, then transitioned to American Freedom Radio. Now I'm still on American Freedom Radio, but I have several different platforms that we appear on. But like YouTube was the hardest one for me to grow. I got Facebook. I found success on Facebook rather quickly. We have literally millions of views on Facebook, which is really dope. But on YouTube, it's a different demographic, it's a different audience, and so it's a little bit more difficult, especially with all the algorithm censoring. So the fact that we found so much success so quickly in only 2 years lets me know two things. We're on the right track, one, but also the demographics lets me know something else, that we're not only reaching out to progressives, we're also hitting those people who are just looking for truth, who they may have voted, where they may have voted for Trump, but they're like, I voted for Trump because I was kind of forced into it because Hillary was such a bad actor in politics that I could not consciously support her. And so we're which is something I've always strived to do. It's something that our network itself has always strived to do. If you've noticed, every single person on our network is what more than anything else, whether it's Fiorella with Craig, whether it's BC DeGraff with his Rigged series, even with our new edition Brief Brain Facts with Amanda Cummings. Everyone is objective in their analysis and in their presentation. And that's what we strive for, because we believe that we can only move forward by speaking in a dialogue that promotes unity rather than divisiveness and that tribal mindset that it seems that a lot of people have kind of geared into. Now, with that being said, I want to go ahead and get into this. So I don't know if you all knew, but Cenk recently released a video explaining the firings of TYT. So you already know that he had fired, or what he says retired, Hannah Cranston, Nomi Konst, and a few other people, but they recently released also some of their entertainment shows. Now, what I want to do is show you the video where Cenk talks about this, and then I'll go into my analysis of what I believe was going on behind the scenes, what I think may be true, what I think may be false, what I think sounds a little bit suspicious. But here, take a look.
Love it. So we stopped. Okay, there's other shows that you love. Now, these shows, the entertainment shows, were, I think, had great fan base and were beloved here and in the audience. So that wasn't the case in that situation, but sometimes those happen. So I want to come back and talk about this a little bit later in a sec, and that's a good number, and we appreciate it. That's about 3,000 higher than when we started about a week ago, and you guys are amazing for doing that. Now, I wanted to make sure that you guys understood something that happened here at TYT. So, look, we built this network 16 years ago. It started as a radio show, and then we started doing online video in 2005, and we're actually the longest running show on the internet, which is kind of amazing. But it's not just the Young Turks. The network has a lot of shows, and we trying for a long time to also build an entertainment part of the network. So we had all these wonderful shows that we believed in, and then I thought we could make it work. It proved to be a little bit too ambitious on my part, and so that's on me. And but I love those shows. So What the Flick was the second show we ever did, and the original hosts were me, Ben Mankiewicz, and Matt Atchity. And you see the very long time host there. Ben took it over with Matt, and then Christy Lemire joined, and then Alonzo Duralde, and they did all the movie reviews there, Matt Atchity, Alonzo, and you can follow them at those accounts, obviously. Christy, these are all great friends of mine and people that I really admire and respect. And we did Game of Thrones reviews there. Anna, me, John, Ben, Matt, all those guys. We'll continue. We'll find a way to do Game of Thrones. They did so many TV reviews. Anyway, it's obvious that we put our heart and soul into those shows, but recently we had to retire them. There's a couple of reasons why, and the primary one is we decided to focus our resources on homo progressives and on progressive politics. Now that's the heart and soul of what we do, and you know that, and that's a lot of the reason why I hope you watch the Young Turks. And I wish we could have made those shows work, but we had to go in this direction and make sure we're focusing on the core mission as 2018 and 2020 are coming. And we've now got wonderful new political shows too. And some more on our podcast network, and obviously members get all of those. But so I want to tell you that the shows that basically, you can call it anything you like, but we're saying we retired are Pop Trigger, What the Flick, Think Tank, which used to be TYT University, which Anna started back in the day. Anna and John used to do that, and Nerd Alert. So I just want to thank some more people from those shows. So you have Grace Baldridge, who is on Pop Trigger. And by the way, some of these folks were on many of our other shows, including the Young Turks, and will continue to be. So, I can't wait to work with them again in the future and throughout. But Grace was mainly on Pop Trigger, so was Jason Carter, and also on the Young Turks from time to time. Darren Dean. I heard she just got into nursing school. She's continuing her modeling and acting career, but great to have Darren with us.
So, I'm just gonna go ahead and stop it there. There are some things that in that video that I do believe are true. Do I believe TYT is hurting for money to a degree? Yes. I don't think they're hurting in the immediate, like in the present, but I do believe that there will be hurting in the future, which has a little something to do with that membership drive. Now, I want to tell you all about something in case you didn't know. A while back, Jordan Chariton decided to attack myself, Tim Black, and H.A. Goodman because we called out TYT for their piss poor coverage of the DNC Fraud Lawsuit. Now, the DNC Fraud Lawsuit, if you didn't know, is a lawsuit that I started with Jared and Elizabeth Lee Beck for essentially what they did to us as voters and as volunteers and staffers, to Bernie Sanders as a presidential candidate, and for just the overall lack of accountability from the Democratic Party on behalf of Debbie Wasserman Schultz and themselves. That it was in that court hearing for their dismissal hearing where they stated that they could decide what candidate they'd have as their presidential primary for their presidential primary election in the back room while smoking cigars. Essentially, it's telling us that voters don't mean a damn thing when it comes to the primary, despite federal electioneering laws being in place, pretty much detailing that no, it doesn't matter if you're a nonprofit, that you cannot just rig elections for the candidate that you would like to rig it for. That's not how it works. If you are going to participate in the voting process, then you have to follow election laws. On top of that, they are registered as a corporate, they are incorporated as a non-profit organization. And the most common lawsuit that nonprofits suffer from is failure to maintain their charter or contract while taking money under false pretense. That is the most common lawsuit. So as a nonprofit corporation, they do have a certain fiduciary duty to their donors. That is a legal fact. So TYT gets, comes on the television and tells the world that this case is frivolous and we look like a bunch of angry voters who didn't get their way and that we're focused on the past. Alluding to the belief that we really don't have a case, which is a lie, which is why we're literally on the 25th of September in the Federal Court of Appeals having an oral argument. Getting to an oral argument in a case that is being appealed, there is only a 7% chance of that ever happening, people. So it is absolutely not frivolous. And the only reason that we ended up having to go to the appeals court was because they wanted to make sure that there were going to be no jurisdictional issues that arose once we go forward into the discovery stage. So the moral of that story is TYT tried to attack the case. So we called them out. Then Jordan Chariton decided to attack myself, Tim Black, and H.A. Goodman on the TYT Politics channel, essentially trying to crush us with his audience by spreading lies. He also got caught trying to blackmail me. His employee that he was paying under TYT was what she was a TYT intern, and she was also I can't remember what that damn journalism group that Jordan had was called. Truth Against the Machine. She was one of his only paid employees, and she tried to dox me, my phone number, and my personal information. Jordan also said I was lying about being homeless, despite the fact that I had text message, which I obviously posted immediately, showing where I told him I was homeless. So all these things took place, and he was using TYT's politics page to post these videos, and their membership started plummeting. It started plummeting. Thousands, and people were keeping records of their viewership, their memberships. Now granted, I don't know how they're getting this stuff, but it's emblematic of what happens when you attack real progressives, when you start punching down because people are holding you accountable. That's what happened. So do I believe they're hurting for money? Yes. But I think that this also displays something else really quick before I go into more of what Cenk said about the firings. It also displays that they have not only been losing membership from what happened a year ago with myself and Jordan Chariton and Tim Black and H.A. Goodman, but it also shows that progressives and people in general are tired of being lied to. They're tired of being played like idiots. They're tired of being played like fools. You can't claim to be outside of the mainstream and then tout the mainstream narrative 24/7, because that is all that Cenk has become. Then every now and then he'll throw in, oh yeah, but we like, Cynthia Nixon, and we hate Andrew Cuomo, and we don't like Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, because they never let y'all play for their team to begin with. Like the establishment, like the super duper establishment, the dinos of politics, never let Cenk and Anna join in on any reindeer games. That's why they left for TYT to begin with. So I just want to be clear about that. So this and mind you, as this is happening, their membership is significantly plummeting, not probably even after, but probably having something to do with the 20 million they received from a big Clinton/Obama donor. But while you see this phenomenon happen, you also see another phenomenon which is happening on their network, specifically with Jimmy Dore, whose Patreon memberships skyrocketed, whose viewership skyrocketed, his subscriber count skyrocketed. You even saw Kyle Kalinske have a huge increase in subscriber count, and even the Humanist Report with Mike Figueredo. Now, guess what shows are also not doing well on TYT's network? Sam Cedar. It's another show that isn't doing very well. John Iadorola's show. I can't remember what it's called, but it isn't doing very well. And Think Tank wasn't doing very well either, which he was a star of. Why do you think that is? It's consistent across the board. The truth is the truth, no matter who is delivering it, progressive, Republican, black, white, male, female, it doesn't matter. The truth is always going to be the truth. And innately, human beings, especially those who are active in politics and have seen the way the game is played, we know when we're being bullshitted. And their numbers are emblematic of that. We've seen increases in all kinds of independent accounts across the board. It's difficult to have large increases without an established platform already. But even myself, for somebody who's only been doing it for 2 years, I am extremely blessed and happy with where we're at right now. Because to have 10,000 subscribers, where half of your subscribers are Trump supporters, the other half are super progressives, the other, I would say it's divided in thirds. A third progressives, a third Trump supporters, and a third of independents who are just looking for the truth. Like, that is the best audience to have. I love it. It's like, no matter what, people are going to dislike what I have to say sometimes, and I'm okay with that. People are going to love what I have to say sometimes, and I really like that. But at the end of the day, everybody who comes here or goes to Tim Black's channel or go to Jimmy Dore's channel or even the Humanist Report or Kyle Kulinski, for the most part, like, they know that they're going to get, or Caitlin Johnstone's articles, Elizabeth Lee Voss's articles. So I definitely don't want to leave them out. They do amazing work also. Lee Camp's channel. They know they're going to get the objective truth. And their plummet in membership and viewership and subscriptions versus our respective increases show that people want the truth more than they want to be lied to, and more than they want to experience this tribalistic mindset that's been taking place and really has been perpetuated by TYT. Now, here's where I think Cenk is full of shit. Cenk said that we're clearing out all these entertainment shows to make room for progressive shows because they're the home of progressives. First of all, Cenk, no, you're not. Don't ever say that again in your life. You're not the home of progressives. Okay? I actually consider our channel to be the home of progressives. So make sure you subscribe. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers. We're like literally 250, I think, or 300 away. Not even. We're so close to 10,000 subscribers. So make sure you click that subscribe button right now. Anyway, but I sincerely feel like we are the home of progressives, and we're trying to fight to be everything TYT has failed to live up to, even though they promised to be that during the election. You're not the home of progressives. If you were the home of progressives, you wouldn't have to raise money like this. You lost membership. You have 4 million subscribers. You're still trying to get 100,000 members. It's like, so being a member, it's like being on Patreon, except for with their membership, you actually get a lot more. Like, I can't even front. If you like TYT, they give you a lot, like town halls. You get to ask them personal questions, things like that. Like, but nobody trusts you. The ratio for 100, like, you only have like 20,000, I think they said 25,000 or 20,000 last time they reported the numbers. They're aiming for 100,000. You can't even get 100,000 members out of what, 3 to 4 million subscribers. That's not good. That means you're not the home of progressives. Okay? Let's be very clear about that. You're not. With all the resources, you can't get that many members. That lets you know something. But furthermore, how are you the home of progressives, but you literally ended one of your progressive shows in Think Tank, which was at one point done by Anna Kasparian, but then at another point it was done by John Iadarola. And it was supposedly a progressive show. But you said that you were taking your resources and concentrating them into being the home of progressive shows. So why exactly did you end that show? And then once again, because I still have not forgotten, you fired Nomiki Konst. Y'all know how I feel about Nomiki, but I'm a very objective person. Nomiki was converting. She was coming into the light. She was really naive in the beginning. I still don't approve of, I was still not approving of her being on the Unity Commission while being part of TYT, because I do not believe that media conglomerates should have an active role and be financially invested in the success of one party, and that's exactly what was happening by TYT helping to put together that Unity Commission on the Democratic Party and simultaneously creating the Justice Democrats and backing them in brand new Congress. That means that you are going to be skewing stories a little bit, because you don't want the system to be torn down because you are personally benefiting from it. Me, I want that bitch burned down. I want burnt to the ground. Gone. That's what I want. That's most of you all want. But you fired Nomi Kant saying you needed more money for shows, but then you created Nina Turner's show. She has a podcast. You get rid of Think Tank, but then Anna Kasparian has a show where she just talks trash about Republicans. You took $20 million, so you're starting a whole nother studio when you took the money. You took $2 million under the false pretense that you were going to hire a bunch of independent journalists like Jordan Chariton, and instead brought on Nomi, who wasn't in reality a journalist beforehand. I really don't even know if I would consider her a journalist still. No, it's not a knock against her. It's just that's not her. That's not her job. She's more of an influencer, if anything. You brought on Michael Tracy, who is indeed a journalist, but then you stifled him at every turn, preventing him from coming on the show the more he pushed back against your bullshit. And he was definitely not a field journalist on top of that. And you brought on Shaun King, who I think I may have saw once, but then realized really quickly, they realized like Shaun knows nothing about politics. He only knows how to talk about black people getting killed, which has its place. But you all know how I feel about Shaun King. I think he is a punk. I think he is a fraud. I think that he is only concerned with identity politics and playing the game to elevate his own platform. I think that's what his main goals have always been. And his dedication or lack thereof to the truth of what's going on in politics displays that. So those are the people you brought on with that $2 million. And you brought on another producer to head the, like a producer or manager to be in charge of TYT politics. And by the way, this is not from me. This is coming directly from Jordan Chariton via text message. He's the one who told me how upset he was with the hirings. He was the one who told me they didn't use any of that money to allocate towards TYT politics or Jordan's ventures into doing the investigative journalism. He thought he was going to have more access to more resources and have more of a team with him. He did not get that. He also... that's why one of the reasons why he created Truth Against the Machine, because he thought that that's what Cenk was going to give him, was a bunch of independent journalists who could help reduce some of the workload, and he never got that. So you raised that $2 million, blew through it like wildfire, raised $20 million. Apparently you blew through that also, and now you're saying, but the reason that you got rid of progressive shows is so you could be the home of progressives. The reason you got rid of progressive employees is so you could be the home of progressives. Nomi Kant was at the Webbies with TYT. You think everybody on TYT was invited to the Webbies as like a featured person or personality when they were winning? No. Nomi did an exclusive interview there with Hassan Piker. Hassan still has his job, probably because he's Cenk's nephew, but whatever. But that doesn't make any sense. You're contradicting your statements. So do I believe TYT is hurting for money? Absolutely. I think that the $20 million is being blown through because when they got that initial $20 million, they thought that they were going to be able to keep all that money and build upon the audience that they already had. However, they lost a lot of their audience because they were led astray by the money, by the establishment, by the mainstream. I don't think that everything that Cenk is saying is entirely true. I do believe that there is a little disingenuous nature to his statements, and I think that at this point, Cenk thinks if he gets ahead of the story, that it'll make him look better. But Cenk is really bad at getting ahead of the story because his comments. He went into detail about it. Yeah, we're concentrating our resources on being the home of progressives. So, this show that Anna used to do and John used to do is no longer going to be here, even though it was a progressive show, TYT University /Think Tank. Yeah, we're concentrating on progressives, but we fire Hannah Cranston and Nomi Kantz the week after she finally gets a legitimate change made to the superdelegate system, after people like me were critiquing her for not being progressive enough and not being able to get anything done within the superdelegate process. I was critiquing her. She proved me wrong for the most part in that regard, and I gave her credit for that. And you fired her a week later. So it seems to me, in my personal humble opinion, that there is a money problem. And you are having to focus your resources. But I think that's because you grew too big, way too fast, thinking that your little Trump boost, the Trump bump, that every single network, every single channel, including myself, got when Trump became president, especially the people that were attacking him. You thought the Trump bump was going to last. You thought that it was going to increase your membership. But a lot of your videos were being watched by people, partially like myself, who are like, what kind of bullshit are they about to try to sell us today? So that we can combat it and tell people the truth. So I would love to know what your opinion is on this situation. So make sure that you comment, share this video, like it, subscribe. Press that subscription button. Help us get to 10K. Greatly appreciated. And more than anything else, people, always remember, find your balance. Peace. We'll be covering Cynthia Nixon next.